Hello everyone, welcome back to Momentum 2025. Oh, I can hear myself on the speakers again. Well, that's so weird. But we do have our next game ready for everyone to watch and enjoy and all that good stuff. If you've never heard it, it's called Pseudoregalia. It's so cool. It's gonna go by in literally a flash. So, Laurie, take it away.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is LaurieDBunnykins, and I want to start by striking up a deal, which is at any point in the speedrun, if you think, wow, the speedrun is cool, you should go to speedrun.gives and donate at least $5 to St. Jude. But with that being said, this is Pseudoregalia. If you've never heard of the game, it's a 3D Metroidvania that's pretty small scale. My first playthrough, I 100%ed the game in 6 hours. And now I'm about to do it in half an hour. The beginning of the run isn't too much going on, so I'm just going to get started. Time is when I click this file in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
So, yeah, as I mentioned, Pseudoregalia is a 3D Metroidvania with a heavy focus on movement over combat. There are a few fights. I'm going to do, the final boss, and that's it. But throughout the run, there is going to be 10 major abilities, 11 minor upgrades, 16 health pieces, and 1 alternate costume. Notably, if you've played this game before, this is not the most recent version of the game with the in-game map and the time trials in it. That is because that update changes a few of the levels in a way that doesn't benefit the speedrun, and also changes a little bit how the speedrun tech works. So speedrunners will usually choose one of the 2 versions to play on. So yeah, for this category, I have to collect everything I just mentioned on top of the 5 major keys to access the final boss. So the first ability we have is our Dreambreaker. As I mentioned, it's our main weapon for the game, but we don't do a lot of combat. We are going to be doing a lot of breaking down walls, though, so that's really helpful. The other thing that's really helpful that we have immediately in our arsenal is a gainer. If you've played Mario 64, this game kind of has a side flip type deal, where if you turn around quickly, you can jump out of that and gain more height than with a normal jump. In this game, in situations like that, you can very easily just flick your stick back in the direction that you want to move and redirect your momentum. You redirect your momentum to whatever direction you want, and you're going to see that immediately once we get the slide.
Oh, that took me a second.
Because
momentum.
I'm going to be doing this, if I did it correctly. So the slide gives us 2 very important pieces of tech. The first one is glide hopping, which I just did right here. Basically, I jump out of a slide and do another slide before I leave the ground, and that puts me in a state where I can jump out of the second slide with full sliding speed, and it allows me to navigate areas with a really good amount of speed. The other movement technique I'm doing a lot of is ultra hopping, which is kind of what I mentioned with the whole redirecting my momentum thing. If I have slide speed, I can redirect that momentum into a jump, either by canceling a slide or turning around as I land. And I can get a lot of height because the height that we get from ultras is based off of our speed at the time. So when I'm doing one out of a slide, for example, I'm pressing back on the slide and jump to kind of cancel the slide, and I go into this state where I start skidding, and I jump out of that. It's really weird to explain, but not that hard to get down, and we can use it all throughout the game to go to a lot of places really quickly. Here we have Ascendant Light, which is this upgrade that lets me bounce off of enemies, as you see. And we're just going to use that to farm the bar in the top left. If you've played Hollow Knight, I'm making a lot of game comparisons here, but this game has a bar that you fill up by hitting enemies, and you can use that to heal. But there's actually a combat upgrade we're going to get later, where once this bar is full, like it is right now, we'll actually have double damage. So that's going to be really nice for breaking walls faster, and then also the final boss. But the underbelly here is not too tricky of an area. We mainly go here because the only other way to go through the dilapidated dungeon is a little bit longer, and there is a mini boss there that we can skip even if we go that way, but we can get a few good things while we're in the underbelly, like this small key and a few health pieces along the way. So the big early game in this run is mostly just there's 2 upgrades that break the game wide open. one of them is the slide, and the other one is going to be in the area on the other side of the underbelly. So we're just trying to get there as fast as possible.
Yeah, there's a message in chat saying, wow, vanilla side location. I love the seed.
Yeah, I do a lot of randomizers of this game as well. This game is great for randomizers, especially if you know like the good movement. You can do a lot of things with very little. It's really cool. But coming up is one of the big points of any Pseudoregalia run, or any out-of-bounds run, mainly, because for going out of bounds and doing a lot of this game's glitches, the best upgrade in the game is in the tower remains. So what this means is that every out-of-bounds run of this game has to, very early on, climb up this tower, or like the outside of this tower, with very little movement, but you'll see if I do it right, it'll be really satisfying.
That sounds like an invitation to donate to
It does.
St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital.
All right, so yeah, we use ultras to make our way up here. We land on this. And then this last part, we're finally in the tower. You can see the upgrade right over there. I'm going to ultra onto this thing on the side and make my way. All right, thank goodness.
That was so close.
Yeah, I wanted to get more height than I did off that. But we have Cling Gem now. Cling Gem is, as I mentioned, a really good upgrade, not just for traversal, but also for breaking the game a bit. It allows us to basically wall ride up to 6 times in one airtime, which is a lot of times. And you can use that to gain a lot of height, especially off of like curved walls. But we'll have ways to manipulate it with more movement upgrades later to get a lot of height, even just off of straightaways. So it's a really good ability. You're going to see it used a lot, again, for like glitches. But for now, we still have a few things we want to collect just like for good movement. And also, like, while we're in the area, I'm going to grab this health piece right here.
It's almost like you're getting everything.
It's almost like I'm getting everything in the 100% run. Wow. All right. And then there's a corner here where we can fling around and get this. Perfect. And now that we're in this hallway, we are going to get the upgrade I mentioned earlier. This is Indignation. And Indignation is when we have 2 combat level, our Dreambreaker has a longer range, and when we have 3 combat level, it does double damage. So that's what I mentioned earlier, and we can start using it to break through walls faster. We're also going to get this update's only alternate costume, so I figure for the sake of the showcase, we're putting that on.
Yay!
But now we're going to go to the library here, and the library is pretty cozy, both in setting and this part of the run. There is one cool thing we get to do, and we're going to be able to do that pretty quickly. We're going to make our way over to this door here, and I'm going to hopefully ultra all the way up the bookcase. It's fine if I don't make it. We have a little bit of higher ground to use here. And so here is the Sungreaves. It's a little ability that gives us 3 air kicks that we can also use to like stall in the air or kick off the wall, things like that. But usually this area wants you to do a tutorial about like how to use them, and we don't want to do that. So I'm going to try and cling in this corner and like redirect the cling to the right as soon as it starts. And if I do it correctly, the game will reposition me out of bounds. And I will respawn because this area has no falling checkpoints. I will respawn back at the start of it, and I'm able to clean up the rest of it. So that's kind of the basis of the cling clip, which is a really important clip in the run, because that allows us to go out of bounds on a lot of corners. And there's a lot of areas where we're going to go out of bounds to like skip major portions of them or get an item earlier than intended, things like that. So be on the lookout for that, because I'm far from done with them.
I like how you say be on the lookout for that when it's like super obvious when you go out of bounds, because this game just has sauce like that.
But going out of bounds is something we can do in more ways than just the Cling Gem. We'll get to see more of them. I have a personal favorite for sure, but for now I'm going to be stepping out of the library here. We got the health pieces and the minor upgrades. I haven't talked about the minor upgrades. I just picked up Clear Mind, which once I collect all 3, will give me like a 4th level of my bar in the top left. They're never really useful. There's only 2 of like the green orbs that are like actually kind of nice for movement or like anything. One of them is the Heliacal Power, which gives us a 4th air kick, and one is just a damage upgrade. But other than that, like, we mainly only pick them up because, well, it's 100%. We're picking up everything. But making my way through the castle here, I didn't explain this the first time I went into the castle, but the castle is, like, the closest thing this game has to, like, a hub or a central area. There's a lot of loading zones between the castle and other places, and you can get to most places directly from the castle.
I just want to mention to everyone that you can also get to speedrun.gives by opening up a new tab, maybe typing it in, or if you're in Twitch chat, !donate. That works too.
And speaking of speedrun.gives, you know the deal I made at the start of the run where you would go there if this run was cool? If one of these next 3 areas doesn't get you to donate, I don't know what will. So we have a very long gauntlet for like the entire middle of the run here. Starting off, we're going to head back to the underbelly from an alternate entrance. We're going to see the first T-Tech here, which is a really good tool for out-of-bounds navigation, where a lot of like walls in this game, when you're out of bounds, are like semi-solid, because the game doesn't want you to be out of bounds, but it also doesn't want you to go through a wall. So we do a T-Tech where I quickly unfull screen and re-full screen the game to make it like freeze for a second, and that will help me clip through a lot of these semi-solid walls that the game like isn't sure if I should be going through. So I use that to make my way down here, where I'm going to clip into this wall, T-Tech back in bounds to grab the Heliacal Power, and then I'm going to try and set up a clip through this corner here. This one is pretty tricky, so it might take a few tries. But if I did everything correctly, which I'm hoping I did... Yeah, no, again, this is one of the harder clips in the run, so it might take me a good couple of tries here. I'm going to readjust my camera, I think. Oh, I was almost there that time.
I don't understand how you can tell. This is just like so specific.
I'm usually telling by sound cues. On one of those failed attempts, you might have heard this like weird like skidding sound, and that usually means I was on a floor and then got bursted off of it with a lot of speed. But otherwise, the visual cue I usually use here is with one of Sybil's antlers and a darker spot on the wall, but it's not being nice to me.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the clips in this game just like decide to work or not work on like different monitors or computers or vibes or anything.
Vibes is a good way to put it. I like to joke that this game has a skip that every time I play the game, it chooses one to like not like me. Apparently it's this one today.
It's because we had to change the monitor.
Right, yeah. Does that mean the other one that I was struggling with is going to be nice to me, or is that one going to be annoying too?
Stay tuned to find out.
That's true. Okay. This is getting, like, unironically a little... There it is!
There it is.
So if I did everything correctly...
Chat, clap that up.
If I did everything correctly, I did everything poorly. So that's
oh, no.
Yeah, so when I went down there with the clip, there is a checkpoint that I have to, like, really not hit, or else I'll be stuck down there. And I hit it. So, unfortunately, I have to do the skip again and be a little bit more careful while I'm down there to not get stuck. Okay. I've never gone that high before. So we're going to try this again. Get through the wall there. There we go. And then do these jumps, and I'm going to make sure this time to stay really far to the right. So that should have been better. And then we have to clip through here. This one is usually not that tricky. I think I'm too far to the right. There we go. Get the ability again, and hopefully it goes better this time. You got any announcements while I'm still going at this?
Yeah, we do. So we do have $5 from Del Cake with no comment. So I assume the run is looking super cool to you. Yeah, and I do want to just remind everyone, this is for charity. We are raising money for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. So all of your money will go straight there. We're raising money for a good cause. Today's Thursday, so we're all the way till Sunday. Quite a long time. But if you want to get your donations in, make sure you do it sooner rather than later, because you're going to forget, and then everything's going to be over, and you're going to be very sad. You're going to have to watch the VODs and not watch us live right here from MomoCon. Yeah, I do want to just shout out Laurie's couch that she has, full of influential figures, I'll say.
Yeah. Okay. I think if I can't get this soon, I'm going to do a backup maybe, because there's no other way out of this room. I have to get this or like explode. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to reload that save, and I'm going to go get the key that's down in the underbelly, and we're going to take a backup path later to go get that upgrade. Unfortunate I'm resorting to that, but I just don't want to mash my face into a wall for several more minutes. So ideally, with the checkpoint, if I did it correctly, I would have spawned in this room, and I would have kept going here like normal. But this room still has some pretty cool stuff. I can make my way up to this pillar and make this jump here. And usually this this key requires like a lot of different upgrades I don't have, but I can just make the jump, dip into the fog, and be right out of there.
Is that fog?
I think so. It's like haze. I think the NPCs in the game refer to it as the haze, or like the fog.
From like the titular, like a maze cave?
Yeah, from the maze cave. All right, but yeah, no, now that we have the major key, we can leave this area, so. We can also grab this health piece before we're out of here. All right, and now it's time for hard out of bounds section number 2. Hopefully it goes better than hard out of bounds section number 1.
Well, that was like the one the game decided this time. So.
Okay, yeah, that means I'm going to get this first try, right? That's what that means?
Well, maybe like second or third, but...
Okay. Bad news. I'm going to try this. Nope. So what I'm trying to do here is do another cling clip out of this corner with this like weird sloped wall. And the way that this will work is I have to do this one twice. So...
Yeah, this is like... And I don't run this game, but I feel like this is like the meanest clip in the game.
It's not the meanest, I'd say. I would say it's the one that gives you like the least feedback. You don't really know why it doesn't work. Okay, I'm gonna do a different thing. I'm just gonna fight this guy. I do have to do that clip twice, and the second one is a lot less optional, unless I do the backup, which I do know. So we're just gonna start with grabbing Strike Break, which is like a charge slash for the Dream Breaker. It's pretty good for damage against the final boss, but other than that, it doesn't do much. I want to try and get this one, because I already skipped doing it the first time, so I want to show it off at least once, because I really like this out-of-bounds sequence, but the clip is just being really mean. Because, like, you can see I'm clinging on this wall. I'm supposed to do that and then reposition to be on the wall next to me. We're gonna...
We just call it subpixels at this point.
Yeah.
Subpixels in a 3D game.
I was looking at this clip yesterday because I've been like studying this clip in particular because I'm just like really inconsistent with it. And everyone who does it like differently. It is like personalized. Yeah, okay. I'm going to do the backup here, so you guys are going to get a different clip. I'm going to make my way over to this hallway on the right. and there is this like big gate here. Scary. I'm going to make my way up this wall and then push myself here and try and like jump out of the cling and then re-cling to the right at a certain angle. And if I do it right, I'll land like this. I'll be able to make it on top of this gate and clip into the throne room here.
Clap that up. That was super impressive.
But since we didn't open the gate, we have to get out. So this one is pretty tricky. The setup for it isn't really anything special, but the window to get this one is really small because of the height of this platform. So I have to be pretty precise here. There we go. And that's mostly the end of the second out of bounds here. There is one more like really minor one I can do. I want to be careful with slashing here because I can cut this platform down if I'm not careful. But like getting the major key without doing the big like roundabout way of doing it normally is the main reason you want to do that.
And what are the major keys for this game?
They unlock the final boss. So if we want to beat the game, we need to get all of them. I do a little out of bounds here to get the Sunsetter. Sunsetter's a pretty good ability. It's like a stomping move that gives us a big jump if we jump out of it. It also supplies us with a really neat little backflip where I can just like press jump while holding left trigger in the air, and I will do this little backflip in place. It's meant to be used with the air kicks recently because the air kicks, like when you kick off of a wall, it usually kicks you like super backwards or like super outwards. So you can like wall kick and then backflip to kind of stay in place. But coming up to, I mentioned there's more like weird, tricky out of bounds. This is theater. This is one that's like probably the biggest gauntlet, but the ones that I've been doing the longest because you do a lot of these in any percent as well. So hopefully I get them. We clip into this doorway here. We're going to try and find a tiny solid piece of land out of bounds here. I'm going to try and glide hop off of it just like that. Make it to this area here where I can cling clip into this corner here. There we go. I'm going to just drop down because I need this platform up anyway. And we're going to get Soul Cutter. Soul Cutter is not really useful in this run. It's a projectile that we fire with our Charge Slash. But coming up to get out of this room is my favorite out of bounds. This is the bonk clip. I'm going to position myself at the right area here, and I'm going to just go through the floor. It's really funny. It's kind of precise, but like not that bad. And now we're out of bounds, and now we're in like the main body of the theater here. So the point of the theater is there are 3 switches you have to hit to unlock a major key on the middle of this stage, and we want to get all 3 of those to get the major key in the most broken way possible. I'm at a really funny corner, so I'm going to try going on top and clipping back in. Thank you. That took a while. I'm going to set my checkpoint here by walking to this platform. And then I'm going to get switch number 2 by clipping in just like that. Perfect. And now we're going to do a little bit of collecting. You can see the health piece on the back of the wall here and this locked door that has a power-up. I'm going to grab it. There are these annoying sword enemies in this room. Thankfully, they didn't jump at me. You can hear them now. Okay, we're good. I accidentally went inside that wall a little bit. It's fine. We can grab that health piece here. And now it's time for another one of my favorite out of bounds. We can climb up this pole and just T-Tech as we reach the top. And hello? There we go. Climb it to the ceiling. So then we can navigate to this area back here. And this is another area where I need to be a little careful not to touch any checkpoints, but the checkpoints are usually on the floor here, so I'm not that worried. I just have to grab this ability, drop into the fog, and yeah, we're back right at the stage where I can make my way here, do this clip, and once I do this one, there we go. Where am I? Where am I? Okay, there we go. We're good. There's the major key. So now with that done, I would say the biggest out of bounds are pretty much done here. We're not done going out of bounds, but those are like the most important ones in the run. We just have to make our way out of Twilight Theater now, and we're kind of ramping into the end game here.
Yeah, if you haven't noticed, we've gotten a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't say 100% yet, but...
No, we don't have 100% of the stuff, but we do have a good amount. I couldn't give you a number right now. So we're in the upper part of Castle Sansa here. I mentioned this is kind of a pretty central area, but this part of the castle is pretty far from anything else. But this door with the theater is a great opportunity to pick up the items that are up here. There are a health piece and 2 minor upgrades, so I'm just going to grab those while I'm here. I didn't want to fall this far down, but I can just save it here. And as we make our way to the last upgrade on the upper castle section, we can actually prepare to do another out of bounds that is one of my favorite. I know I've said a lot of the out of bounds in this part of the run are my favorite, but...
At least the last couple.
Yeah. I guess that's... I mean, it's true. You know? Like, I'm not lying. These are some of my favorites. So I'm going to make my way to this power-up up here. There it is. And then I'm going to clip through this corner here, slide here, and through a little bit of navigation, I'm going to make my way over to this area where we clip back in bounds, and we're now at the bottom of the castle. This doorway here, I didn't actually grab the power-up. Dang. And my checkpoint's here. We get to do it again. Yay.
Out of bounds so good we do it twice.
Yeah, I'll show you a different version that I actually really like how it looks, where we used to go past this doorway and just drop down right into the room. It's a little bit slower than the first way I did it, but I really like that version. There we go. Now I have the key, or now I have the health piece. And I fell again. Does that mean we get to do a third time? We does.
Is there a secret third way?
I mean, you can probably just like walk around this area. You can navigate almost all of the castle out of bounds with this clip, but I don't have a reason to go anywhere else in the castle at this point. We've picked everything up. So now we're going back into dungeon from the start of the game. This is actually the entrance that you're supposed to leave dungeon for the very first time from, but we're using it backwards so that we can drop down onto that health piece and clean up some of the other things we never collected, which is really one other health piece, and then we're leaving. But with the slide, we can go through here, and with a few other movement options, we can do this little cling section to get a health piece. Funny story, I am at 8 heart containers now. There's still 1 health piece left in the game. There's not enough to make a 9th, but there is still just like 1 piece chilling, and I do still need to get that. Since you guys have been a really nice crowd, I'm going to go for this out of bounds I don't usually go for. It also doesn't usually leave you plummeting into the fog, so I'll go for it. It's leaving me plummeting in the fog.
Uh-oh.
I don't need to do this. I'm just trying to show off. I'll try it like 1 more time, maybe. Yeah, this is what you usually see happen. That's what we're looking for. Get me out of bounds, please.
Pretty please.
There we go. So I can use that to make my way up here. And now I'm out of bounds in the dungeon. And this is actually really interesting. You'll get to see something really fun, which is the tunnel that we used at the start of the run to leave dungeon has like a trigger in bounds when you enter it that makes the room darker so that it's harder to see in there. You might have noticed it the first time I went through there, how dark it was in here. But since we went here from out of bounds, we actually skipped the trigger to make the lights darker, so you can just kind of see in here perfectly fine.
I do want to mention real quick that we got a $5 donation from Luxor. So, clearly we're doing something right.
Clearly. And now we're heading back into the underbelly the way we came in. Usually we'd have one more upgrade to grab on the way to the end of the game, but since I was struggling with the clip earlier, I do have to go back up and get that item. But we have a different item to get first, and this one is pretty interesting. We clip out of bounds through the wall right there, and unfortunately I messed this up. If you do it right, you can land on top of an out-of-bounds structure in this room and navigate out of bounds all the way to a doorway on the far left. But I can just go out of bounds here and get to the doorway normally, so I don't need to worry too much about missing that. It would have just led me right here pretty much, where I want to make sure I land there to get a checkpoint. And then I'm going to clip through this pillar, just like that, and get inbounds here and grab this ability. And then, assuming I don't touch the wrong part of the floor, I will respawn just right back outside the door that I spawned at. And now, I'm going to go get that ability that I had to skip earlier. This is kind of funny because this is the way you're supposed to leave that area. You're supposed to go to this entrance through a different place, but due to the rope to cut this block down being cuttable from this side, we can do that. And I also realized I said I was coming here as a backup, but I didn't actually bring a key. So I'm gonna have to do the clips again if I want this item at all. But yeah, okay. I guess this is not a real 100% speedrun. I'm sorry, team.
It's okay.
But those clips are just being
It's
today,
what,
and
97? It's close enough.
Yeah, I think the actual math would be, yeah, about 98. So this is your 98% speedrun that you ordered. But I just want to make sure, you know, we've had a lot of things going on with the schedule today. I don't want to make it worse. Sorry about that, but we can still fight the final boss and everything. I just need to not fall off here. Thank you. There we go. All right, so yeah, now we're going to leave the underbelly the same way we did the first time. I don't know what happened there. Okay, thank you. I made it. We're fine.
Goated.
Yep. We're going to leave the underbelly the same way that we came in the first time, except we get to use this little door because we don't have to go to the building to get the heart piece. And we're going to do a similar thing with the death warp to get to the tower. But before we actually go to the tower to fight the final boss, we do have to get the items in the empty Bailey itself, which I have neglected. So we're going to make our way on top of this tower here. This can be a little tricky, but we have enough movement that it's usually fine. We're going to grab the last health piece of the run. I mentioned there was just like one bonus one. There it is. I'm going to grab the last major key, so now we can actually access the final boss. And then I'm going to make my way into this room where we finally get the slide upgrade. So this upgrade makes it so that I don't have to glide hop anymore. Pretty much, usually you have to get this upgrade to do like normal slide jumping. And as you can see, instead of doing the weird like double button press tech I've been doing to go at full slide speed the whole game, I can just press one button. So you might be wondering why I like waited forever to grab this upgrade. And the reason is because of slide ultras. As you might be able to tell, doing a trick that I need to press the jump button during a slide is kind of hard to do with this item that extends my slide. So the only way to do slide like ultras with the solar wind is to do it the way I did there, which requires a lot more space than a normal slide ultra. And this run, because you go out of bounds a lot, you're navigating in a lot of these like tighter spaces, and we don't really have the luxury to like use that like lower or use that like longer distance required to do an ultra. There are some routes that do pick this up early, so if you want to speedrun this yourself, but doing the like hard tech for the whole run just seems difficult, there are different routes that you can do that don't need that tightened space. But This one does. And now we're heading into the final boss. The final boss is pretty fast in this category because we have a lot of upgrades. So time is going to be when they die in like a minute or so, a little bit under that. This boss teleports around a lot. Thankfully, there is a lock-on button we can use to try and just like make sure we know where they are. The goal of this fight is going to be, I'm going to try and charge a slash, and then the charge slash, because I'm in the air, I can cancel it with a sunsetter, and then I can just like land on the ground and keep going. So that allows us to get like as much damage as possible on the boss here. And we are in phase 2. There was like a glass breaking sound, so she is almost dead. So time is now.
GG's.
So yeah, that was a showcase of Pseudoregalia being really mean to me. Sorry I had problems with some of the strats there, but this game is just really difficult at times. But I still had a lot of fun, and I'm still glad you got to see most of the really cool stuff in this game. I want to give a shout-out to a few friends of mine who run the game. Will Bun, Jaxler, Vane, Killing Pepsi. I don't think I necessarily have anyone else. I want to shout out Ritzler. This game is, I believe, like almost entirely solo dev, if not entirely solo dev. I don't know who did the music, so shout-outs to them. Other than that, this run will be at Summer Games Done Quick 2025. I won't be playing it. Will Bun will. I'll be on commentary for it. But I will also be there myself doing my own run. So if you want to see more of me, you can check me out on Twitch or Blue Sky at LaurieDBunnykins. And I'll also be at SCDQ. So that's all I got to say, I think. Thank you so much for having me. And have a great rest of your MomoCon.